Don't you love early fall?
I love it.
I love early fall.
I love this weather.
Now, are you one of these pumpkin spice? No. No? Okay.
Pumpkin spice, no.
It's like crack for women primarily. I don't see many dudes going after pumpkin spice. Do you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Don't care for it at all.
Don't care. Well, it is a fabulous September afternoon here, and the grass is green, and the trees are still green, not yellow. For you Fantastics fans, do you know? Have you ever seen Fantastics play? No.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, so we're sitting here on the grass, and we thought we would talk about marijuana. Yes. Yay. Well, so as many of you know, in Colorado, we were one of the first vanguard states to legalize marijuana in terms of first medicinal use. Okay, and now recreationally, along with the state of Washington, and that means that we see a fair amount of folks who use marijuana either recreationally or medicinally. And what happens if on your work injury you test positive for marijuana, and how can it affect you? So the number one thing that you need to understand is that even though it's illegal in Colorado, or probably the better phrase would be it's not illegal in Colorado, it's still illegal for federal law. And a lot of the statute, particularly the Colorado Workers' Compensation statute, says that if you get injured under the influence of marijuana, then the insurance company can reduce your monetary compensation by 50%. Now, your non-monetary compensation, which basically means the medical benefits, right? You know, so Angie, basically, like you could get high on coke and have, you know, cocaine streaming down your nostrils, and decide that it'd be really fun to jump from desk to desk and get injured completely. Like, I'd fire you, right? But I'd still have to pay 100% of your medicals.
Right.
Now, and I'd still even have to pay her lost wages, but I'd get to reduce it by 50%. And so that's number one. So you need to understand that. Now, where it kind of gets controversial, or at least where you kind of need an attorney, is two things. Number one is they've got to keep a sample. If they do a test, like a blood test or something like that, they've got to keep a sample so that you can also have it sampled or tested at your expense. And number two, unlike alcohol, we have the same rule for alcohol. If you get injured and you're, you know, doing tequila shots, like I made Nick do. Now, aren't you sad that I'm not having you do marijuana now?
I'm like, is he gonna pop up the?
You know, here we kind of smoke that, I guess. No marijuana for you today.
That's not
Sorry.
fun.
I know. Well,
I was so excited for the video too.
I know. She was just like, let me do it. All right. But we have the same kind of rule for alcohol, which is if you test positive under the influence of alcohol and your blood is so many parts per million or whatever it is, percentage-wise, then you're presumed intoxicated, and then you're presumed that if the injury is due to the intoxication, you can have your monetary compensation reduced by 50%. Now, we don't have that standard in marijuana. We don't know. We don't yet know how to determine how intoxicated you are, other than maybe putting a bag of Ruffles or Pringles in front of you and seeing how much you eat. But, you know, if you're missing, you know, like a stump on a leg that's been recently torn off, you're probably not going to get the munchies that bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, but we don't know. I mean, that's one of the areas that is a area of huge debate and litigation, which is how do we prove how intoxicated people are from marijuana, because you can test positive for it, but then the thing is, well, yeah, I had it over the weekend 5 days ago or whatever, and it's still in my system. So that's it. So that's number one. Number two, second way, and here's the scary thing, okay, because there was recently a case where a guy operating a ski lift was killed on the job, and they did the autopsy, and he had marijuana in his system, and the widow and her children were being told by the insurance company, we're only going to pay 50% of your benefits. And that's kind of, I mean, that's a harsh That's a big fight. So it doesn't just affect, if you're injured and you're off work for a little while, it can also affect your dependents. Okay, number 2, and we have to go quickly because I was told in no uncertain terms you have to be gone in like 10 minutes. Okay, so number 2 is if you test positive, it could affect your job in the sense that if your employer has a zero tolerance policy for illegal drugs, and that means illegal drugs as defined by federal government, then they can fire you for it, and you can be considered at fault for your termination. And again, if you are fired because of marijuana use and you're not getting lost wage benefits from workers' compensation because you tested positive, we can help you in that area as well. Even though it is not illegal or legal in Colorado, they can still fire you for it. Third is, sometimes we have clients who say, listen, I don't want to take all these opiates. They have me on painkillers, they have me on this, it's screwing with my liver, etc. Can't I just get marijuana? Can't the doctors prescribe me marijuana? And the answer is right now, no, they can't. Number 1 is federal doctors are regulated quite a bit by the federal government, and so they can't prescribe marijuana. Now, if you look at the statute for medicinal marijuana in Colorado, it's called recommend, not prescribe. But even then, it's difficult, and so far it's not an accepted medical benefit in workers' compensation to get medical marijuana. However, there are cases where the parties have agreed to pay for it because it is so much cheaper and better than many opioids, and so those are options as well.
And so would they recommend a certain dose, or how
yeah,
do they go?
they do the same thing, or and a lot of times what happens is people settle and then they take that money that they would have spent on opiates and then they can use it for
But they
marijuana.
would have to go to another doctor to get that
Probably.
recommendation?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
They'd go to their own doctor. Apparently there are doctors who are willing to do this if you pay them. Who knew?
Wow.
Who knew, right? So, as always, if you're injured on the job, who should you call in Colorado?
Call Kaplan Morrell, attorneys at law, at 970-356-9898. You could talk to either me, Angelica, or Ruth,
Or Tammy.
Or Tammy.
Who has no life.
Or Vero.
Tammy has no life. Call her anytime. Call her at midnight. Ask for Tammy. She'll answer.
Yes, she will.
So, bye everyone.